What quietly went away without anyone noticing? Actual toys in cereal boxes and Cracker Jack boxes, and contests where you could win just by checking the packaging instead of scanning a QR code and making an account on some f***ing MountainDew.com website. They've graduated from marketing campaigns to personal information aggregators. Taco Bell used to have a Chihuahua as their mascot. Little dude just disappeared one day, and anyone born after 2000 probably doesn't even know what I'm talking about. I still have a stuffed toy version of that dog. He says the usual, "Yo quiero Taco Bell," but then also quotes a very specific Taco Bell ad that cross-promoted a Godzilla movie. He says, "Here, lizard, lizard, lizard," and "I think I need a bigger box." 3D TVs. Curved TVs. Interestingly, curved monitors are still a thing, and totally worth it in my opinion, but I couldn't care less to get a curved TV. The curve makes sense if you're next to it, it surrounds your face more, and turning your head means the screen stays the same distance from your eyes. The tiny curve on these TVs doesn't make sense. It's not doing anything but making the TV thicker and cost more. Stumble Upon. I remember all my classmates and my mom used to use it years ago. Stumble Upon is how I found Reddit. Movie trailers with that deep voice guy doing the voiceovers.
This time, there are two.
Buying a new game and having a thick, chunky manual filled with game lore which you would read before playing and so heighten the anticipation of the game itself. I miss those so much. I remember my grandma buying me Halo 2 as a kid and then going to a furniture store, so I just followed her around reading the manual while she looked at furniture. McDonald's all-day breakfast menu. I will never forgive them. Yeah, those $2 sausage and cheese McMuffins were tasty and a decent deal. The net neutrality thingy. Most providers decided to adhere to net neutrality, understanding that new administrations could change the makeup of the FCC. Sobe. What the hell? This is the answer. I haven't seen Sobe in years now that I think about it. I remember I got a book of the worst foods based on calorie, sugar, fat content, and the Sobe Pink was the #1 drink they said to stay away from. Enough sugar to kill a horse. That said, they were delicious. Ronald McDonald. Too many people are petrified of clowns. Also, McDonald's was under a lot of heat for how they marketed to kids. You know, childhood obesity and all. For sure, it worked on us as kids in the 70s. Some places had the big Mickey D characters out front, Hamburglar, etc. You could walk up and play right under them. Ronnie would come to your school, teach you about crossing the street. You'd get a cup of that orange drink and a hamburger afterwards. He's such a clown. Ownership. We used to pay money and then the thing actually belonged to us. Now everything is rented or leased. Everything is sold as a service. Music as a service, movies as a service, software as a service, even printer ink as a service. We spend, and in the end, we hold nothing in our hands. As an update, you can also subscribe to clothes. Wear new clothes every month, but never own them. You can also subscribe to cars. Clothes as a service, cars as a service? Our internet company wants me to subscribe to a Wi-Fi extender for $5 a month. This was, of course, after they turned down the Wi-Fi range available for my router thing. Joke's on them. The electronics store had Wi-Fi range extenders to buy for just $20. Acid rain. It was a huge environmental issue in the late 70s through the early 90s. Rain was acidic and damaged fertile areas, among other things. In the US, there was much research done, and eventually, industrial regulations were put into place. Companies were allowed to decide what approach they chose to take as long as the results showed the appropriate amount of reduction in sulfur dioxide emissions. Unfortunately, positive news doesn't sell, so news outlets did not do justice to reporting this success. As we went into the 2000s, hardly anyone remembered what was done. Picture-in-picture TVs. I miss this. Playing Crash Bandicoot in the tiny corner of the screen while my mom watched General Hospital on the rest of the screen. Google+. There were dozens of us. Dozens! Google+ was the only social media our school forgot to block on our laptops, so I used it a lot. R.I.P. Even they forgot it. Waterbeds. Used to have one. Nothing like forgetting to turn on the heater an hour before bed in the middle of winter. When you turn off the TV, how the image would shrink to a dot before slowly fading away. And then, when you run your finger on the screen and hear that crackle and feel the static on the glass, Anyone remember spinning rims on cars? Nah, my rims never spun to the contrary. You'd find that they were quite stationary. Murder hornets. It was one of those things that was actually dealt with. The Washington State Department of Agriculture did a great job. None were found in Washington State or BC in 2022. The word cyberspace. Surfing the World Wide Web. I want to know WTF happened to my salsa verde Doritos. I work in a store that has Doritos. I had to explicitly ask the vendor for salsa verde Doritos a couple of weeks ago. We just got them in last week. I bought every bag. Jack Nicholson. He felt his game slipping, so he retired. A couple of projects have courted him for a comeback, but apparently he has trouble remembering lines now, and he'd rather not go out on a weak note. Not to worry, Leo is almost done morphing into the new Nicholson. Landlines in residences. The jacks are still in almost any house, but I rarely see anything plugged in anymore. The only people I can think of with them are all over 60. I live in a rural area and have to pay for landline service to have internet. Since I have to pay for something so stupid, I figured I'd have to get something stupid. So I got the hamburger phone from Juno. Not gonna lie, the landline has come in clutch a few times, and holding a hamburger to your ear is amusing every time. 10 out of 10. Planking. A guy in my town should have gotten that memo. Several months ago, he was planking on the railing of a pedestrian bridge that was pretty high up in the middle. He lost his balance and rolled off onto the ground below and died. Raffle dropped off the face of the planet, and now we just go straight from LOL to LMAO. BlackBerry phones. Palm Pilots. Taylor Lautner. He just got married to another Taylor, a woman, not Swift. And she took his surname, so calling them Mr. and Mrs. Taylor Lautner is completely 100% accurate in this case. Flash games without in-game purchases. Surely you are misusing the term flash game. They all just suddenly disappeared without anyone noticing, as they all died on the same day. Public spaces where you have a reasonable expectation that you're not being filmed. iPods and other MP3 players. Sierra Mist. I saw the replacement brand in stores last week, but until I read the press release the other day, I had no idea that Pepsi had discontinued Sierra Mist at all. The uproar around devices always listening. Xbox One Connect was an uproar, and now you pretty much can't buy a device that isn't always listening. Wallpaper. It used to be everywhere, but at some point, we as a society seem to have come to an unspoken agreement to just stop using it. Which is fine by me. Honestly, it was a pain in the ass to put up, and even more of a pain to take down. Ringtones. Jay-Z said no more, and they were done. That's a really weird thing. Now with smartphones, we somehow just went back to standard ringtones. I straight up have my phone on silent, and it's been like that for at least 5 years. Thank you for watching. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss new videos.